Hey everybody, Adam Davidson, RadCast for Monday, March 20th, 2023. Hey, it's the first day of spring, rejoice. All right, we're in Mark chapter 5. It goes a little something like this. They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot. But he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. And that's the word of the Lord. Here we have another example in the Gospels of Jesus encountering the demonic. Now, we don't talk about it very often, but it must be considered. We live in a world that is under constant spiritual battle. No matter where you're at in your day, you are either jumping out into or continuing in an ongoing fight between good and evil, light and dark. The Apostle Paul puts it this way in Ephesians chapter 6. He says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." So in this story in Mark 5, which I think we're going to hang out in all week, depending on how it goes, we see this example of, demons were really active then, just as they are now. This poor man is possessed. And soon, right like in the next chunk of the story, the demons absolutely acknowledge the power of God, and you can see this battle raging, and the ending is incredible, but there's so much to learn in it. But just for today, I wanted to point this one thing out, bearing in mind that we're in a battle, bearing in mind that we have to put on the armor of God, and that we have to take our stand against the devil's schemes. Think of it this way. One of the devil's schemes is to make us assume that we can fix it and or control it ourselves. And here's what I mean. You've got this guy who's demon-possessed. He is miserable. What a horrible experience. Probably just a normal guy from the town that for some reason all of a sudden takes on a demon, and ultimately we find out a legion of demons. His life is absolute terror. He goes around, he's crying, he's cutting himself, certainly a danger to himself, perhaps even a danger to others, to the point where the townspeople have actually taken to putting him in chains, like tying him up so that they're not in danger anymore. Well, guess what? It doesn't work. He busts out of the chains. He busts out of the irons on his feet. Nobody was strong enough to subdue him. They're like, go get Thor, go get Big Dave. Find somebody who can take this guy. Nobody could. One of the devil's schemes in our lives, at least in mine, is that we would be convinced that we can handle this on our own, including the spiritual battle that we're in all the time. You know how I can tell that I think I can handle it on my own? I don't take the time to put on the full armor of God before I begin the day. I don't even think about it sometimes. Like, I don't even acknowledge that there are spiritual forces at work all around us. So just like these folks could not fix it, this guy could not fix it. We're about to see that it is Jesus himself who fixes it and takes away the very need for these chains to begin with. For you and I today, it's so imperative that we begin our Monday and begin our, season of spring, because that's what it is, that we begin this with an awareness of the spiritual battle around us, and that we take the time to seek the filling of the Holy Spirit, that we take time to acknowledge that Jesus is Lord. This idea has to resonate through our souls, the lordship of Christ, the centrality of Christ, that he upholds all things by his powerful word. To have these things in our mind and our heart gives us a certain level of protection, gives us a certain level of confidence, and reminds us of the authority that we have as followers of Jesus. Remember this today, dear friends, because you will be in a spiritual battle. And the de facto assumption that we make is that we can handle it on our own. That's one of the devil's schemes. Jesus has all authority and all power. Walk in his spirit, and you will walk a different walk and fight a victorious fight. That's RadCast.